Hi friends, today we're going to cover Australia. This is my friend Maui, my bearded dragon. We're going to go over our choice board, which has different choices so that the student is actually leading their instruction on what they want to learn. They have to complete 8 items that are on this board, but if they get all 16 items on there, they actually get 20 extra credit points. They all cover the 5 themes of geography, and we're actually going to go through each item that's on there in order of what we've talked about. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is a longitude and latitude worksheet. And what they'll do is they'll use NASA's EYES, which is actually a program that's out there that you can get on their Chromebooks, and they can actually get the longitude and latitude off of that so that they can fill this worksheet in. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to create a map of Australia. Now they get this so that they can go over and have some type of a template. They're going to create their own map out of construction paper or some other type of medium, and it's going to include the states, the capital cities, oceans that are around it, and one thing they found from each state that they thought that was interesting. The next thing that they can choose from is actually a photo collage of the countries that are near Australia. This also takes care of location. Now he's being a little difficult right now. For a place, they'll actually plan a trip to Uluru. And there's many official sites out there that you can use that you can give to them after you've went through it and looked at them yourself. Make sure to give them a starting point. Alice Springs is located about a half day's drive from there. There is actually an airport, though, that does fly into Uluru, into the park. Remind them, though, that they need to figure that into their trip. So when they're actually giving you the information about the trip, it has to include how long their trip's going to be, what they need to take with them, and what kind of things they're going to do while they're there. Now the next thing they can do is create a man-made structure. And we have an art box in our room, so they can use anything in that art box to do this with. And this can be any man-made structure like the Sydney Opera House, or it can be the Sydney Harbour Bridge that they can do, and I've seen those made with paper plates. Let me see if I've got it. Yeah, I've got an example right here for you. So you can see both of those there. And the next thing that they can do is they can actually create a terrarium habitat for my friend Maui here. And he's a bearded dragon. They come from Australia. So what they can do is they can actually design the terrarium. They have to include the substrate, lighting, food that's going to have to go in there for him, anything else that they can come up with that needs to be a thing. One other thing they can do for a place is they can actually construct a web page, and they choose a type of plant or animal to provide information to their fellow students about. Now the human environment interaction, developing a display for the soil erosion I think is a great idea. They have to tell me what's causing the problem, the erosion, and steps that can be taken to either slow it or stop it completely. They have to be prepared to convince me, though, that it actually will stop or slow the erosion. Another option they have is an overnight stay in the outback, and that's where they take and collaborate with 3 or 4 other students to create an overnight stay where it has a list of items that they're going to need, an explanation of why they're going to need it, and they have to be prepared to present that to the class. One other option they have is to write a poem. Now, the poem can't just be any poem. It has to be about the Great Barrier Reef and the effects that the humans are having on it. Movement, with the movement option, they can create a travel itinerary. Now, the travel itinerary has to go from Tulsa, Oklahoma to somewhere in Australia. They have to create a brochure for me that will tell me how and when I'm getting from the school to whatever destination they've planned in Australia. This will include, if they do, for example, a flight, then it has to include any type I have to be there, where I have to be, if there's any layovers, things like that. They can design a display to show how people get around in Australia that includes all the different things, cars, trains, all the things that you can think of. They can do a paper for me on moving to Australia, and that is going to include writing a paper on why they do or do not want to move to Australia, and they have to be prepared to argue their stance. For a region, they can prepare a paragraph on the flag and compare and contrast it with the Australian and New Zealand flag, and do a paragraph for that. And then they can do a graph for the different languages that are spoken in Australia and provide citations for those, where they got their numbers from. And then last but not least is we actually have an Australian state facts. And they can choose which state they want to do this on. And as you can see, it's got where they actually draw in color and they look up information. It's going to be like the state flag, the capital cities, the state floral emblem, bird, and animal. And then it's also going to have well-known natural landmark and a well-known built landmark. So that will be my lesson on what we're doing. Me and Maui wish you a great day.